Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the Dietitian Says What podcast. My name is Stephanie Gomez, and I'm a registered dietitian in Southern California. Today, we're going to talk about insulin sensitivity. Insulin sensitivity refers to the sensitivity of your cells to your own insulin. Now, when we eat food, that food turns into glucose, and the glucose needs to partner up with insulin to get into the muscles in order to be used for energy. So what happens is when our cells are not sensitive to our insulin, or we have insulin resistance, that means that glucose is going to sit around in the bloodstream, which leads to high blood sugar. Now, high blood sugar is actually really dangerous for lots of reasons. It does damage to the nerves, it does damage to the blood vessels, the eyes, the brain, the tissues, lots of different areas. So you can see how it would lead to various different disease states, such as heart disease, liver disease, kidney disease, PCOS, lots of different metabolic diseases. It's a problem. So how do you know if you're affected by high blood sugar? This is National Diabetes Month, and we're less than a week away from World Diabetes Day on November 14th. So this is a great time to talk about this because insulin resistance is a primary marker of diabetes as well. People who have high blood sugar often experience excessive amounts of thirst, which goes along with excessive amounts of urination, extreme hunger. There also might be a feeling of pins and needles, especially in the fingers and toes. Blurred vision is another common symptom of high blood sugar, and also itchy skin or skin problems. So unfortunately, only half of the people with diabetes have actually been diagnosed. So it's really important to pay attention what's going on with your body to make sure that there isn't a deeper problem. Now, what can we do to avoid insulin resistance? And even if you do have diabetes or one of these other disease states, you can still create significant changes in your habits that will lead to regulated blood sugar so that we can avoid some of those problems that could come with blurred vision and damage to the nerves later on. So what can we do? Ultimately, there are lots of things we can do. Some of them have to do with food and some don't. So let's talk about the non-food items first. Sleep is one thing that affects our body's insulin sensitivity. So the recommendation is to sleep about 7 to 8 hours a night. If you're trying to promote wakefulness during the day, getting some sunshine would be really important, and then avoiding blue light at night. And I actually have another podcast on the circadian rhythm, so you can check out some more tips to help you to get to sleep for 7 to 8 hours a night. Another thing that we can do is exercise. So exercise is one thing that is going to cause some of that sugar to come out of your bloodstream and actually get used up. So when you start an exercise regimen, it doesn't have to be gung-ho, all or none. You can start with 10 minutes of walking each day, and that would make an actual difference. Another thing is stress management. So because there are lots of different hormones that are released in response to stress, it's really important to manage that. Otherwise, we can end up with insulin resistance and a whole host of other problems. So managing stress might look like, again, going for a walk. It might also be meditation. It might be coloring. It might be talking to someone that you trust. It might be journaling. So there's lots of different ways that you can help to deal with your stress. And I do have some resources on my website at beginagainnutrition.com. And there's free resources there that you can use to help you to manage your stress. So besides stress and sleep and exercise, we can talk about food. Now, before we even get into the types of food, we can talk about a few different things that will actually affect your blood sugar regardless of what you're eating. One would be combining carbohydrates and proteins. So anytime you eat, whether it's a snack or it's a meal, try to make sure that there's a combination of carbs and proteins. So that might be a piece of fruit with some nuts would be a good example of a snack. And then for a meal, making sure that that meal contains half the plate veggies would be really important because that's going to slow down how quickly that sugar gets into your bloodstream. So that might be 1/4 of the plate of rice, so like a cup of rice, 1/4 of the plate of whatever type of protein that you're eating. So whether it's tofu or salmon or another plant-based meat, chicken, whatever you're eating, the recommendation would be about maybe 3 to 4 ounces to match up with your 3 to 4 portions of your carbohydrate. And then half of the plate would be non-starchy vegetables. So that might be a salad, broccoli, asparagus, whatever veggies you like. It would be okay as long as they're non-starchy. They're definitely going to help to slow down the sugars in your bloodstream. Another thing that we can do is the frequency of our meals, trying to make sure that we get a little something to eat every few hours, maybe every 3 to 5 hours. That balanced meal or snack would be really important so that we don't have spikes in blood sugar. So eating at 8 a.m. and then having nothing until 8 p.m. would be a problem for if you're trying to cause your body to be more sensitive to your own insulin. So we've got balanced meals, we've got the frequency of meals. Those are a couple of really important pieces. The frequency also refers to the timing of your meals. And then lastly would be, again, portion sizes like we talked about. So half plate veg is always a good idea. And just making sure that if you have a single portion of carbohydrate, like a piece of bread, that there's a single portion of protein, which might be peanut butter. Then we can talk about the actual foods. So one, we've talked a little bit about fiber. You know, ensuring that we get enough fiber, which is going to be about 30 grams in a day, is really important. It's going to improve the health of your gut. It's going to slow down how quickly that sugar gets to your bloodstream. And it will ultimately lead to you getting more of the nutrients that your body needs. So naturally, a lot of the higher fiber foods are fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and beans and lots of different legumes such as lentils, chickpeas. Those are some really good foods that have a higher amount of dietary fiber. Again, great for blood sugar stabilization, and it's also great for the health of your gut. Next, we can talk about the colors in the food. So making sure that you're getting enough antioxidants is really important. So if you decide that you're going to make sure that when you eat, you've got half a plate of veggies, and when you have a snack, you're going for a piece of fruit, the recommendation would also be to have variety in those foods. So you can think about eating the rainbow, trying to ensure that you've got some reds like strawberries and tomatoes, for example. Cherries would be another good one. Trying to make sure that you've got some oranges, so actual oranges, carrots, squash. Making sure that you've got some yellow fruits and veggies, so maybe, again, squash, pineapple, banana. Plenty of greens, and the darker the better on those greens, so that might be kale or spinach, mustard greens. And all the colors. So blues and purples are really important as well, especially for cognition. So getting in those blueberries and those blackberries and those eggplants are really great for your overall health and for your insulin sensitivity. And then lastly, we can talk about staying away from things or having in moderation those things are not so good for your gut, such as saturated fat. So the most common example would be going for foods that are grilled or baked or even air fried would be far better than deep fried, because if it's deep fried, we're getting a whole lot of saturated fat. And then next would be avoiding excessive amounts of sugar. So instead of having a sweet tea, maybe it's just a regular green tea or black tea instead of adding tons of sugar to it. And then, of course, limiting other sugar sweetened beverages such as sodas. Instead of having fruit juice, having the fruit so that it comes with that fiber. Those are some great examples. And those things will all help to cause your body to be more sensitive to your own insulin. And if you've got additional questions or wanted some help on specifics in your life, please let me know. You can reach out to me through my website at beginagainnutrition.com. And you can also leave a comment here. Thanks for watching. Share this with a friend. Be sure to subscribe. And as the subscriptions go up, I will continue to share great information. Thanks for being here. Take care.